What's going on, everybody? Doc here, Average Gamer Guys, back yet again. Last day on Earth action, and today, another testing video. We're going to try. I'm not going to be able to answer the question, so I need to say this up front for the folks that are going to watch like 2 minutes of the video and then jump into the comments. The title of the video is "How Important is Durability?" I'm not going to definitively solve that here today, but what I am going to go ahead and do is do some durability testing, which will start to hopefully outline a few things specifically. So we did some weapon testing, which I actually thought was a very well received video. It was a lot of fun. If you didn't check that one out, go check it out. I think it's in our Wasteland Survival Guide, actually, probably easier playlist to find. But we did some testing after I did my ranking video, and I wanted to showcase it, and lots of folks really enjoyed doing some testing. And then there were some conversations around stability, durability, and a few of those things, really representing overall accuracy and damage. I think durability is one of those that we should really kind of take a look at. I'm actually going to probably do a little series here where we do even more weapon testing, just kind of slowly, maybe one video a week, kind of jump into that, because I think it's a really interesting thing to take a look at her in Last Day on Earth with weapons, with so many different mods that are capable of throwing onto the gun. What I want to start with today here is just to take a look at a handful of weapons. I'm not going to do all. Listen, really appreciate the comments. I always love comments, and I always love hearing thoughts because I get some really good ideas. This video is specifically coming from a couple of ideas and comments that folks left, so thank you for that. However, I'm not going to test every weapon. Okay, we could do that. We have all of the weapons. I have the capability of doing that. That'll be very time consuming. So I picked a handful here to do, because I think these are going to be some pretty common ones, some interesting ones to look at. I really did consider doing the Glock. I considered doing the M16. Maybe in a future video, we'll jump into those. But for right now, we're going to do 4 weapons today. I'm going to take a look at the SCAR, the VSS, the shotgun, and the AK. I think is a pretty good diverse selection. And the other thing is there's some good diversity with modifications for these weapons that can give us a little bit of insight. In addition to that, I wanted to pick some weapons that were going to be moderately easy to count shots on. This is probably going to take me a minute. So my plan, I have different weapon modifications. I'm going to talk about these very quickly. Really, there's 2 core tenets. I'll jump into that. We have different weapon modifications on 3 versions of the same gun. I'm going to run over to T-Hub. I've got the boss ready to go. I don't know who we have yet. I just cleared everything, so we're ready for the boss fight. I'm going to do the same test that I did last time testing these weapons. This time, I'm going to be looking at total shot count in addition to damage dealt. Now, let's get into how I modded these weapons. What I tried to do was get variations in durability. Unfortunately, with that, there are a ton of variations in DPS. So I did my best. It's not perfect. I did my best to find weapons that were like a small step or a medium slight step off in durability, but still represented really good damage. And then we have some extreme cases just for a little bit of additional testing purposes. So let's talk about the SCAR here first. Okay. Oh, and I should also mention, I have the highest durability builds. One of each of these weapons is the highest durability build. So we will be able to see if you prioritize durability over everything else, how many shots could you get, how much damage could you get based on its DPS, right? So I'm trying as best I can to keep like the DPS numbers from the highest durability. I'm trying to keep the same mods on another weapon that has less durability. So obviously there's the change in whatever mod makes the durability change, but I'm trying to keep mostly everything else the same so that we can kind of isolate durability. It's very, very hard to do. I think that's the one difficult thing with testing this is I can't put all of the same mods on the gun and then just crank down the durability to see what would happen. So you have to bear with me in this testing. If you don't like the test, here's the thing. If you don't like the test or whatever, you think go do some of it yourself. Okay, I'm just gonna be like straight up with all of you. I'm doing my best here. I'm gonna give this the best try. If you think I missed something, by all means, test it yourself. If you go to jump in to do this and you have every weapon mod unlocked, you're going to see that it's pretty hard for some weapons. Some weapons it's relatively easy, which is why I picked a couple of the ones that we picked. So let's start here with the Scar. This is the best durability that we have. This is the highest that it will go with all of the different mods that we have. The big thing, a couple of things that I just want to note that I noticed. Magazines and barrel modifications, whether that be attachments or the barrel itself, are the biggest changes to durability. You almost never, at least for these 4 weapons, was I seeing durability changes with optics, and a lot of time I wasn't seeing any durability change with any type of laser or foregrip. It really came between the barrel/barrel mods and the magazines. So here on the Scar, the big 2 are actually the silencer and this magazine and the drum, punching this up to the highest set of durability. Now, again, there are some that are the same here, right? But I'm trying to prioritize DPS here. We're going to be firing single shots when we go to do this. So this is the highest durability. This is a step down. So I'm going to just jump back and forth a little bit. It's a pretty good little bump. I'm not going to lie. It's a decent little chunk. It's probably about a quarter of it. It is a little bit higher DPS just because this build gives it that. We could change this and bump this up and pretty well get it close to the same. I actually might do this. Let me see what the change here is. The change here isn't great. It's not a lot. It's essentially just the magazine. Maybe we try that. Maybe I'll try that because I want to try to keep these pretty close. I was interested in trying to keep them. This is probably enough change with not a ton of DPS difference. So that's okay. The other thing that's going to be hard to control in this test and that we should keep in mind is that crit chance and crit damage play a pretty big factor. So if we just get lucky with one of these weapons dealing a couple of additional crit hits, that could change a little bit of the math. Again, I can't control that. That's just going to be based on the weapon. So something to consider. So I think this is pretty good. So that's how we're sitting. And then we have basically the no durability Scar, which you should never build your weapon like this. But if you want to see what the lowest durability Scar looks like, here it is. And again, we're trying to keep as much as we can the same. So still have the same optic, still have the same foregrip for this. So that's what we got. Let's jump into VSS. Very similar here. We have best durability, very, very close durability here. Damage-wise, slight variation, but this is probably the moderate, the kind of minuscule jump or moderate jump. And then we have the lowest durability, actually, which is just really purely the magazine. The magazine, really, this is just 3 changes to the magazine. Everything else stays the same. So VSS is very consistent. We have the shotgun here. Basically, this is my base build, which is the highest durability build. I really like this shotgun. Of course, most folks will argue and say, put this on here. We could do that, but I'm going to leave it just as I have it, just to see how, for me, bench test. I really like the one with the shotgun. Think it's pretty cool. Like the extra crit chance and stuff like that. Trade off a little bit of damage. Great mod. So, not here to talk mods. Active mods, I should say. Here to talk other mods. So we have this durability. We have like a pretty moderate bump down. Tried to keep basically everything the same. Really, what's crazy here is it's just this reloader here that's causing that change. So it's a pretty good jump. It's the best I could do, folks, here. And then we have the lowest durability build, which is this stubby little guy. Interestingly enough, as we went down in durability, we actually went down in DPS on this, which isn't always the case. So kind of an interesting thing to see there. And then we have the AK. This is actually the version that I run. This is the middle durability or the slight bump down durability build. This is the best durability build with slightly less damage per second. And then we have, Again, very much like the Scar. The worst durability build, which interestingly enough is also the worst when it comes to DPS. So we're gonna give these a test. That's how we have it set up. Let's go see. Let's count some shots. Let's see some damage. We'll see at the transport hub. Okay, we're jumping in here. I had to run back and actually grab a Glock because I have not opened all of the containers yet. I don't know what boss we have. Also, I'm going to bring the Glock with the leg shot to see if we end up getting the miner, if we are able to run out and open the what you call it. I didn't think it was possible. I also needed this just in case. All right, so unfortunately we have the butcher. So I'm going to just run. I'm going to leg shot him and then I'll reset him here. I think this one, I'm confident that this one will be able to open this gate and then we can run out. I don't think he'll get to us in time. Yeah, we're good. I think the miner is just too fast. I think he would have caught up to us. I could be wrong. Okay, we'll reset here. We got the butcher. Not ideal. We got to really try to make sure we don't get hit here because I don't want that to screw up. I'm going to put this on. Let's go ahead and start with the AK. And I want to start with the worst one, which is this one. Again, so this is no stock. This is like absolutely terrible, terrible durability. Like the lowest of the low. So I'm going to do my best here, count shots. In addition to that, we'll see what total damage we ended up getting. Now, have to pay attention to this because the butcher just isn't good because he can heal. So, all right, bear with me here. We'll do our best. Okay, 136. Got him down to 975. So the problem here is he's going to heal. So that's that. Man, I wish we had the miner. The miner is a better test of this 100%. We'll count these last shots here. All right, 11 additional shots and 1272. This is going to be tough just because he heals. So we'll try to do our best. If we're able to get to the same amount of damage, we'll really be looking at shots. One thing that I noticed, and I'm realizing as I'm doing this, I'm probably going to speed up the portions where I'm doing the shots. I'm counting as accurately as I possibly can. Give me a wiggle room of a couple here and there. On either side, I might have counted one extra or miscounted or didn't count one. With the AKs and these fast-firing weapons, so this and the Scar is going to be a little tough just because they can go full auto, right? So I'm really purely testing total number of shots. What I'm going to try to do is 975 will be the damage I try to get them down to each time. That way we can kind of compare total shots to get to that point. I'm actually pretty impressed with that AK. I thought it was going to do much, much worse than it did. So, all right, let's try the mid one here, which is going to be my build. This is the normal build that I run with the modified muzzle brake. And DPS wise, this should perform better, and we should be able to get more total shots out of this if everything goes technically according to plan. Let's jump in here and see. Here comes the big guy. All right. Okay, 144 to get down to basically the 975. Let him get healed up here. I think for this last part, we just count total shots. I think that's going to matter. Although, no, I'll try to track damage. It came back at 1373. All right, let's count these up. All right, so 25 shots, 1167. 25 shots, 1167. The key to try to get to 975 or pretty close will make it so that he should heal the same every time, and then we can kind of do the overall damage comparison from that perspective. So I think I said 1373 he came back with. I'll keep an eye on that, and I'll just take an average of the 1373. So I can already tell you that now the damage, interestingly enough, per shot was actually one less. However, the crit damage hits were better. It took us 144 shots to get down to the 975 compared to 136 with the other build. However, we got an additional 14 shots on the back end. We did 11 and got him down to 1272. And this, we did 25 shots and got him down to 1167, which is pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. That's interesting. All right, we'll try the best one here next, which is this is the best durability. And I expect this to be the lowest. So here's the interesting thing. When we went to the modification screen, it had this as DPS as being better than the low. But when we go to this screen here and we see damage, it's actually at 16. So this is lower total base damage. The DPS, I believe, for the way that the system works. Oh, shoot. All right, I'm going to have to reset this. Sorry. The way that the damage works for the modification screen, I believe, also takes into effect the crit damage and the critical chance. I need to look at that because in this AK representation, the low was actually 20 damage on our inventory screen. So base damage was 20. This one is 16, and my medium build was 18, which would explain how the regular shots were 1 damage less than the low because it had a higher base damage. But from a total DPS calculation, it went 174, 184, and now to 176 for this build. So that's pretty interesting. I feel like DPS is maybe not the best use of that. You do have to consider base total damage as well when building, and that's, I think, one of the big takeaways for me is there's a lot of discussion from the testing that I did previously around the best way to set up your weapons, and there's so many factors to consider. Considering base damage too ends up being really important. But again, as you saw, it's understandable that we were better off. It took us 8 more shots with the slightly better build to get him to the healing stage, but we got an additional 14. We actually got an additional 14 plus 8. We got an additional 22 shots worth of damage off of the medium build with durability, with a lower base damage than the low, better crit hit. See, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. So much to take a look at. All right, let's test the best durability. I'm gonna count this one. I'm gonna be honest with you, I might not do the Scar. This is a lot of shots. This is a lot of shots. We'll see what we could do here. Let's jump into this one and see how this fares. Okay, 151 to get him to the 975. Right off the rip, I was noticing the same 1 less damage per hit, less damage on the crits. Actually, or the same damage, one less damage on the crits. All right, it came back 1376. Can I don't want to get hit. All right, I wrote that down. All right, let's count up the shots here. And then 28 for 1154. 28 for 1154. And I'm going to say he comes back at 1375, just as an average. So damage might be just a few points off. And again, I might be counting a few points off. So it took us 7 additional shots to get him to the 975, or the healing point. And we got 3 extra shots and dealt 13 more damage when with the best durability build. That's very interesting. I'm gonna have to run some math here just to take a look at a few things. I have to run some math here to take a look at a few things, but it's almost like my very fast initial assessment is go best durability. As long as the impact to your total DPS on the build screen and base damage isn't a crazy factor of adjustment, you're getting slightly better hits. Now, we're not taking stability into account, so full autoing these weapons. AK would be a good test of that to see where those lined up, because I could tell you with the low build at the 20 shots, like I think the stability on that build was really bad. So like full autoing it kind of will be the difference. It'll be interesting to see with the non-full auto weapons what we do. Maybe we do that with the Scar. Maybe we don't test shots. Maybe we just full auto our brains off. I'm gonna do that, and I'm just gonna do damage on those just to see, because we should see some pretty significant stability differences between these three. We can replicate them. Let's take, this is the low, so this is the lowest durability, 20 damage. This one has 19, this one has 19, so again, these are very similar. So those will be a good comparison with the slight modification in durability, but this is higher total damage and lowest stability. I'm gonna full auto these, so I'm not gonna count shots. I'll chat with you probably while I do this. And let's just see. I'm gonna do like bursts, not bursts, but I'm gonna full auto as best we can while also not getting hit. And let's just see where we can get this guy down to. How quickly. Kind of test total. We're really just testing total damage with this. I am gonna try to get down to the 975, although I don't know if this one's gonna make it. We're having a pretty decent amount of misses with this, as I would expect. We're doing 10 damage a shot and 17 on the crit. All right, 1041 with that. We did not even get to the healing point. That's interesting. And that was like a 10 and 17 shot here. All right, so best. This is the best. This is the mid right here with the extended. Yeah, so our damage here is the same. What we have essentially, the difference is. Okay, I'm gonna do, I don't remember because I didn't change this on my little stat sheet. I'm just gonna write down extended and then double. We'll do the extended first, then the double. I think the double was, I think actually this one was better from a durability standpoint. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to check that. But we're gonna do extended mag here on this one, and then we'll double check that when we get back to the base. I forgot that I changed them so the DPS matched. Okay, so there should be a lot of similarities with these two weapons. they should be pretty well situated close to the same. So we're getting 9. Right off the bat, I'm noticing it's 1 point less, and the crits are 3 points less. The misses, though, because of the stability boost, seem to be... There's a couple jumping in there. Much less. Way less crits, though. That is really clear. We're getting some good full auto bursts here, too. Couple of non... I'm trying to do as many big group bursts as we can here. Again, I don't want to get hit because that'll trigger the heal. Okay, so we got him down. 973, I think, was where we landed at. So we'll see what total final damage we get here. So already, the durability obviously mattered and was way, way more efficient, even though we're doing less critical hits and less base damage shots here. I expect these two to be extended and the double to be very, very close in their build. All right, so came back with 1373 and got them down to 1279. Okay, that's an interesting one. So that was after heal. Tracking this. Tracking this. Okay, and then we have the double drum one here. Let's jump in and take a look to see. I think this is going to be... These two I expect to actually be really, really close. Because they should be dealing the same damage. So it'll be interesting to see if the extra little bit of durability that this one has. Because I think these were pretty close. Okay, better crit damage on this, though. So that's something to take into consideration. That's by a couple points, actually. The other one was 14. This one seems to be accuracy. I don't feel like we're getting as many misses. Oh, I don't know. Right there was a couple of jumps. Again, I'm trying to let the recovery time be close to similar. Again, this isn't a perfect test. The perfect test would be this guy stands still and just sits there and lets us shoot him. Okay, 972. This is going to be really close. To be really close on this. Let's see if he comes back with the same. 1373 was the extended. Let's see what he has here. 1372. So one last point. So won't matter. Try to get a good full burst in here. 1229. That one was better. Right? 1229. Okay. Okay, interesting. Very close, but still 50 points. 49 points. 50 points of damage there. I actually think I had him reversed. I don't know. I'm going to have to check that one. I don't remember. Because I tried to get the DPS to be very, very similar. But I now need to see between the extended and that double mag on that Scar, what else changes with that change. Because something else, I think, there's a little bit from a durability standpoint, but there might also be something from a crit damage standpoint, and maybe even crit chance that's making the adjustment there. Okay, let's jump in and let's do... I guess we'll do the VSS. All right, we got 60 damage here. These are all very similar. Okay, 62 and 60 and 60. So this 61 right here without the mag is the worst. All right, let's jump in. See how many shots we get. All right, 50 shots to 959. This one's going to be a little bit harder to get the damage back. So I'm going to have to pay attention to what these guys come back with to see what the damage change is. Because they're going to... I don't think it heals... I don't think he heals to the same... He heals... Yeah, 1359 on this. Okay, got that down. 50 shots in. And then an additional 10 down to 1149. 10. My sticky notes are not big enough for this. So 10 shots. That performed very well. That was nice. Okay, so the difference here is then we do the extended mag. This one is the medium. So interestingly enough, between these two, this is the best base damage that we'll have at 62 for this. But it read DPS for both of these two weapons in the stat screen as the same at 127. So let's go in and let's test this out. Okay, 48 shots to 974. I'll write down what he comes back with. I did notice that when he did his yelling thing, 1374. I did notice that when he did the yelling thing, his armor increased for a minute. So 13 shots down to 1088. Interesting, interesting, interesting. And then we will try the double mag, which again, this should be best in class in terms of durability and should have and has the same DPS as the last one on the stat screen, but less base damage. I expect to be doing 30 a hit with this one instead of the 31 from the last time. And interestingly enough, it's your damage is basically cut in half because of the boss's armor here. All right, so 48 to 984. What I noticed right off the rip with this, worse, in terms of crit hits. We got like almost no crit hits. I'm gonna go to the extended mag on this build pretty much right away on this. That was, we got very, very few. 1384. Okay. How many additional shots are we gonna get here? $15, 1069. 15, 1069. So maybe I don't change it, because here's the interesting thing. So how much damage did we do here? That looks like 210. I'll have to do the math. That was extremely comparable. The only difference is I actually think the double mag, even with less crit hits, because we essentially got 2 additional shots out of it. The extended mag, which again was slightly worse in durability, we got 13 shots after the heal. For the double mag, we got 15 shots. We actually did more damage. Yeah, we did more damage with the double mag one because of those 2 extra shots. Think about it. We did 60 extra damage. The crit hit chance was, I think, like 3 points of damage per. So right there, the durability really matters. So he came back with 1384, and we got him down to 1069 compared to 1374 and 1088. So we did an extra, 19 points of damage? Actually, more than that. 29 points of damage, because he came back with more health. On the double mag there, he came back with more health at 1384 compared to 1374. Well, I guess we dealt him 10 extra damage. So it's like a full shot's worth of additional damage, even with the crit chance changes and everything, because we got the extra 2 shots off. And that matters a ton in the VSS because it has such a high single shot damage. But I think we're generally seeing that across the board. That the durability, even if it's slightly worse from a damage standpoint, is outweighing the damage changes. Okay, we got one more to go here. We got the shotgun. So let's talk about these really quick. Really the big difference here is going to be, this will be an interesting test because they have the same handguard red dot sight. These two have the same silencer on. The thing that is giving the biggest difference here is essentially the reloader. So this is the best. This is the middle. This is the worst from a durability standpoint. Worst durability standpoint, 77 base damage, 93 DPS. So keep that in mind. This is actually the worst all-around shotgun. This is 74 base damage, but 101 DPS on the build screen. And this is the medium or the pretty high, but not quite best durability. And then this is best durability, 77 base damage, and actually the highest DPS at 106. So this one should be a good settlement factor for us on a couple of thoughts. We should see these perform right in line. Low should be the worst, least hits, least damage, followed by the next one, followed by the next one. And hopefully the damage is a pretty good modifier for it. Crit hits on this is going to be really important. $33 to $998. We're going to have to do the same thing we did with the last one. Is just track how much health he's coming back with. Decent amount of crits for that. $13.98 on this one. This is tough. Doing this right here and writing down is really hard. I also don't want to die. Now here's the problem. He did the attack. He didn't touch us though. I don't know if this is going to screw up the damage calculation. Yeah, we're doing base damage again here. Got a 5 shots for 1208, but I don't think I was getting the... Might have screwed that one up. That was base damage without the reduction. We didn't see any additional damage reduction there. That one might be scuffed a little bit. It's really hard to do. It's really hard to write and run at the same time. All right. I think this is going to be the really good test. So we're going to try not to screw this up. All right. So again, lower base damage, 101 DPS. So middle of the DPS chain. And again, pretty like solid durability, but not quite top end durability here. Let's see how many bang bang shots we get off. $32 shots to 978. 1378. All right, I didn't scuff that one yet. All right, 8 shots, 1092. Yeah, we scuffed the last one. What was it? 1092. 8 shots. We scuffed the last one, so the low here, unfortunately. Interesting to note, it took us 1 less shot, and we did more damage, as the DPS would suggest, from the worst to this mid one. It had a lower base damage by 3 points, but we ended up going and bringing the guy down to 978 on 32 shots as compared to 998 on 33 shots. Interesting. All right, this will be a really good comparison here with the best in class shotgun. Let's get to it. $33 to 942. That's significant. That's a hefty one. So basically the same as the mid. 1 shot difference, but a huge extra chunk of damage, which again, better DPS. That's interesting. And then we got him back at 1342. Let's see how many shots we get here. 1. So 1 additional shot at 9. We got him down to 955. That is massive, actually. That's massive. Because it was 32 shots down to 978. So we took 1 additional shot. We essentially got 2 extra shots for the durability difference on the shotgun. We did 36 additional damage on the first prior to the heal. Post the heal, I need to do the math. We went from 1378 down to 1092. So 286 on this, comparative to 387. Woo! Now, that is the best from a durability as well as a DPS build standpoint. So that's what I would have expected to see. But that's pretty drastic, actually. That's like 140-ish additional damage that we were dealing with that shotgun, with that build that we had. Just pretty crazy. Okay, I'm gonna run back to the base here. Let me crunch some numbers, and I'll bring you some maths. All right, so we have some interesting data to share with you. What I will likely do when this video goes live over on the Discord, I will probably post up like a screenshot or 2 of a little Excel file breaking down all of the information that we ended up gathering for this. This was a really interesting test. Again, there are parameters outside my control with some of these builds, with a few of these, well, not with the builds necessarily, but with some of the factors that they end up changing. So do please keep that in mind. If you don't agree with any of the data, please by all means go test it yourself. What I really wanted to try to do was isolate durability and how important it is. What we did in the process also really was maybe debunk a few things, but also confirm a few things, and that I feel pretty confident to say. So across the board for every single weapon, it doesn't matter if it was the shotgun, the SCAR, the VSS, the AK, without a doubt, no matter what, durability, the best, highest durability weapon you could get, always dealt the most damage. Now, sometimes it was pretty negligible, right? So for the AK, for instance, it was 13 points of damage difference. Now, again, keep in mind that I'm, might be off by a point or two, but it was essentially 13 shots, like maybe one and a third hits. So the best in class durability that we were able to get with the AK, which would have included, I believe, would have been a change of this muzzle brake. It would have went from this muzzle brake to this, so lower base damage, lower stability, higher durability. This build right here, you were able to, we shot 179 shots, and we did a total of 1746 in damage. Now that's after the reset with the additional health that was recovered. The next in class build, which is the build that this is my normal build that I run, did 169 shots with 1733 damage, so 13 points of damage off. And then the worst in slot, essentially, if you were to just rip the muzzle or the stock off of this, excuse me, you see the huge durability decrease. I think you would also have to go to I don't remember, this muzzle brake, maybe same muzzle brake but no stock, maybe one other change, no magazine. No magazine. This thing did 147 shots for 1628 damage, which is 118 points off of the best build, the absolute top end, this build right here with best in class, which is interesting because when you go to take a look at these, right, when you rip the stock of this off and you change the magazine, it's really interesting to note, and I'm screwing this all up. It's interesting to note the total DPS change, right? The mid, my mid build here had a higher DPS than the best durability build by 8 points. But we did more damage with this build. Now, I want to say this very clearly. You can see the difference here in stability, and we didn't get to test this with the AK, but what ended up being true, I think to a certain extent, with the SCAR that we saw, was the fact that this build here, and I had a different optic on, I went with this optic here, essentially the durability changes came from the magazine, right? We ran it this way with a slightly higher durability, and we ran it this way with a slightly worse durability. DPS, virtually the same, 4 points off between these two. The big change here, and I'm going to change this just to show, the big change here, stability, interestingly enough, was slightly lower than with this lower durability build. We did 50 more points of damage with this build, with the highest durability, slightly worse stability than we did with this one. We did 1671 damage with this build here on this SCAR with the most durability. With the extended mag here, we ended up doing 1621 damage total. We did 1459 with the worst build. So it's interesting to see that you have a higher bump in durability here than you do in a stability sacrifice, which just goes to show, I think, to a certain extent, because we ran these things full auto. We had some misses in here. It's interesting to see that a good balance of all of these things is important, but even on-screen DPS isn't necessarily going to be the thing that reigns supreme. Durability seems like it has a really heavy weight. You're talking 50 damage. That's probably an additional 5 to 6 hits between these two builds that we're able to get. And 50 damage isn't nothing, right? Is it the worst thing in the world? No. But if you built all of your weapons and had similar results, you'd be losing quite a bit of damage over time with these full auto weapons. So stability, durability, base damage, crit chance, crit damage, it's all that's the thing that sucks, is that it's all important. It's all important. You know, again, I run a build here that has really good durability and very, very high stability. I may think about moving over to this right here, lower base damage, but higher speed. This might be something that I really consider going forward with. I don't think I make the change here to sacrifice this durability for this extra bit of stability. It doesn't seem like that's going to matter. It seems like in this instance, with this weapon specifically, durability ends up being the most important when you're comparing those two factors, because the stability is already so high. And it might be worth it here for me to make this change and run it this way just for a better amount of base damage. What do we end up giving up with this? We end up giving up a lot of crit chance here, so I actually think this is probably the build that we might want to go towards. You know, damage reduction here isn't, I don't think crit chance, you get really nice crit chance with this. This might even be the way to go with this 4x. Sacrifice the speed, but get the heavy crit chance. This would be an interesting way to take a look at this too. As I can see, again, there's this world in which speed is going to be really important. I'm less concerned about speed. Because usually I have like a Glock backup or something that can slow enemies down, and then just maximizing DPS on this seems really kind of maybe like the way that we want to go without sacrificing all this durability. That's the big thing. I think this is just the best. So that's some of my takeaways. That's pretty interesting. Let's talk shotgun here really quick. This one performed as you would expect. We got 42 total shots with the highest durability, 40 with the slightly worse, which is basically this. This was the change here, I do believe, was just this reloader versus the side ammo. So not, you know, pretty big chunk, but we got 2 less shots. With the worst in class, we got 35. So 7 total variation from best to worst. We ended up dealing 1945 with the best build, 1808 damage with the mid, 1712 with the worst, which is 137 between top to the mid, and an additional 96 from mid to the bottom for 230 points of damage, 233 points of damage. When it's all said and done, from best durability to worst durability. Now keep in mind that this also did have the best DPS, so there's really not much we could do from this perspective if we wanted to change out. Again, active mod versus this is not a fair comparison, because this active mod is obviously very helpful in many situations, but there's really no better build for this. This shotgun's very straightforward. There's pretty easily a best in class for everything. Which is really nice, right? Because why would you sacrifice durability and damage here? Maybe the extra crit chance matters. I think with this one, speed, I mean, this is just the cleanest way that you could do. And then again, you're just swapping the active mod for this, just essentially to be able to get the active mod and do the spread shot, which is very good. So that's cool. And then VSS was also very interesting. So we got 63 shots with the best in class, which is the one that I have here currently with the double magazine. With going with just the extended magazine, we got 61 shots. And then with no magazine on this build, we got 60 shots. So still durability did matter, a total of 3 shots from best to worst. This, however, did 1831 in total damage comparative to this build, which was 1812. So that's 19 damage. And then it was 61 damage when you did not have a magazine on at all. And keep in mind that the DPS variances from this, almost none, right? You sacrifice, basically the damage is kind of pseudo offset by the durability, which we did see in our testing. And then when you go with just no magazine, you see that DPS actually decreases because the durability hit is so bad. Again, my overall takeaways are durability is very important. You should be trying to maximize the durability of your weapons. And then really, you got to pay attention almost, it feels like, to everything else. This DPS number is a pretty good judge of how much damage you're actually going to deal, because again, it's taking into consideration, really, I think, all of these factors. I'm curious to see one that changes. See, this changes crit chance and damage, which actually increases. What's crazy about this is that, it still decreases DPS. Yeah, so this is an interesting comparison here, right? So this is actually increasing damage but reducing speed, which is lowering the DPS with no changes to crit chance. So this formula really does take into consideration everything in here, which I find which is good, right? I think this number is a good evaluator of how much damage that you can do. Now again, active mod versus non-active mod, you can have that argument, or have that conversation if the active mod, is important to you. Being able to deal critical damage is actually probably really good for this, because of the high base damage that this has. But it's so tough with modding these weapons, right? And it makes sense to me why folks have variations of what they think the best builds are, is because there's a lot to consider and to take in when we build these out. One really key thing I can tell you is you should be striving for best or almost best in class durability, basically every time. The extra shots will matter, and with many of the builds, you're typically not sacrificing a ton of damage, crit chance, crit damage, or even speed necessarily, or stability, to be able to get that best in class durability. Keep in mind, though, again, that with automatic weapons, stability is going to play a decent part because you will be missing shots. Base damage is also still important, so kind of keep all of those factors. This DPS number is also important. This is really tough. I hope that was interesting and helpful from a weapon building and testing scenario. It took a lot of time. This video is going to take a long time to edit as I'm recording it, so I do know that, but I hope this was helpful when taking a look at weapons, maybe confirming a few things that folks thought, maybe debunking a few others, and just showcasing that, again, you can have some really good, very similar builds. A swap of one or two items here or mods will make a little bit of difference, more so than others, dependent on the weapon. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. What also would be interesting to go do, and I may go do this, is actually just test out like pure stability. Try to keep everything the same, but adjust the stability to see what total damage output is on some of these here, maybe in a future episode. And I do know that we only did 4 weapons, but I feel like it's a pretty good sample size. We have 2 fully automatics with the SCAR and the AK, 2 single shot weapons with the shotgun and VSS. I would tell you that was the most noticeable one, was the shotgun. But again, that had everything going towards it, right? Best base damage, best DPS, best durability, clearly outperformed the rest. VSS was very, very close with all of those adjustments, but still durability did win out in the long run, and overall was more damage. So hopefully you enjoyed. Thanks for checking this one out. Long video, so do apologize for that. Hopefully we made some good edits to cut that down and to showcase this. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you took anything away from what we showcased here. Again, when this video goes live, as long as I don't forget, in our Discord, I will post some screenshots with some of the data for you to go ahead and take a look for yourself. Feel free to jump back to the beginning of the video to see the builds and how we modified them if you want to do some testing yourself. I do wish we had the miner. I think that would have helped out a little bit, but I ran pure math on this for the damage, did my best to count the shots, and hopefully I'm pretty dang accurate with most of that stuff. So yeah, let me know, and I'll conclude with durability does matter and is important for your weapons, so do consider that in the long run. Hopefully this helps you build out some weapons, have fun out there in Last Day on Earth, and look forward to bringing you another tier list and some more weapon testing here in the near future. Thanks for watching. We'll be sure to catch you in the next one. Peace.